my first insight into biomimicry, I didn't know it was biomimicry at that point. I thought it was the idea of emergence, and that's how I started my thinking, is the realization from Alan Watts that there isn't a meadow, there is no meadow. Like meadow is only a meme, it's a verb, because if you don't have the bees, you don't have the meadow, right? But if you don't have the trees, you don't have the bees. If you don't have the air, you don't. So basically, just to say that this is a meadow, it's not doing justice to the meadow, because it's only basically a word. It's something that emerges of many other things together. If you go to the next slide, and if you look at nature, of course, there is not only emergence, but it's wonderful structure. If you go to the next slide, you'll see, of course, that how it all comes into patterns. This is something that is inside our brains, not outside in the method. And the next slide is basically, it turns out that it's all connected again. As Joseph Campbell was pointing it out, that the mythologies that are inside our heads and the archetypes that informs our thinking are actually also connected to our biological being, and probably the organs, the being in the womb, being born into this world, all connects us into something that actually serves as the hosts of our ideas. So if you go to the next slide, what we actually, how we see the world is that this is these archetypes, these sort of energy patterns in our brain are the hosts of the thoughts, of the little memes that are inside them. And if you understand the pattern, that what are how your brain actually is working, what are the containers of your thoughts, you would understand, why these thoughts are there. And interestingly, the same happens in the media space. Is that in the whole interconnected space of people, memes, media, through the internet, television, radio, all interconnected, it actually starts to work as an ecosystem. It starts to resemble something of biology, and you can actually see biology rules applying to the ecosystem, to the media ecosystem. And again, if you look for emergent patterns like the standing wave, you can understand the media not from what's going on, but why it's actually going on, which is of course one level deeper, like a level deeper understanding of what's going on. Because if you only see what's going on, and if you don't see the patterns that actually drives the memes, drive the spreading, then you can only be in touch with what was yesterday. If you want to know what's coming on tomorrow, what's the next meme, what's the next thing, you actually have to understand the pattern. A very easy example to understand is like, there's always going to be a girls band, and there's always going to be a boys band, right? So you just have to watch out, like what's the next, in the pattern of a boy pop band, what's the next content, what's the next water molecule in the standing wave, right? You actually see the standing waves in the culture, in the media, and you can sort of look for what's next. Because otherwise, if you look to like what's the next Google, that's my favorite type of questions, or what's the next Facebook, what happens here is that the past clouds your thinking. Because one thing is for sure, it's not going to be the next Google. The next structure that you're looking for is not going to be resembling the one that you're looking at right now. So if you frame yourself around like what's going to be the next Facebook, you will not be able to find the next whatever. So that's the structure that we are sort of looking for. Let's see the next slide. Many ways you can imagine this, but one way to imagine the mediascape is a fitness landscape. I think many of you have seen fitness landscapes before. What you have now is in any sort of fitness landscapes, you have mountains and valleys, and the way to get ahead is actually to sort of get fitter to move move up in the fitness mountains. And many ways to do that. One very important thing is that that you can either move one mountain, or you can figure out and get higher, or you can see other mountains that you might have to move on to. In order to move the other mountain, of course, you have to deconstruct yourself down to DNA to be able to move that other mountain. So there is, in every ecosystem like this, there's at least two types of evolution, two types of competition going on. One is who gets on the top of the mountain. Two is which mountain is the higher. So you have to figure out like which is your competition territory, which is your niche that you have to compete on. But you're also competing with all the other niches. So it's very important to figure out, because you can actually win in your niche, and it turns out that the train has already left the station, and there's another niche that's going to be the big thing. So there's always a competition, like choosing your niche and competing in your niche, but also figuring out how to make your own niche bigger on the account of the other ones. So that is how also memes compete with each other, that they compete with the memes in their neighborhood, in their target market, but they also compete your attention, against theater or politics or whatever. So every meme is also in a big race for human attention. So this is how we approach business at Darwin's, there's something underneath, which could be archetypes, could be prenatal experiences, intentions. If you're religious, then something happening here, from that space. And we actually have a vocabulary to talk about this. These are our memes, which could be one word or even like a fraction of a word, but it could be like whole sentences, or could be something that you name an experience that becomes your meme for the experience. And if many of us name and experience one thing, then it's going to be a common meme. So it can be a song, it can be a book, but it can be just the first few minutes of a few seconds of a song. And these memes would create thoughts in our heads. So, for instance, the meme of my grandma creates a meme like there's amazing marzipan that she was cooking at home, which is still does with she was doing it with her children now, with grandchildren. That was me, and now she's doing it with her grandchildren. And what we do is we collect these thoughts in our business. So we collect quotes, interviews from the internet, from interviews, from focus groups, and this is what we work with. So part of thoughts, those are the sort of quotes that we collect, and that's how we do a memetic analysis. So basically what the company is doing in Budapest is realizing that the only way to have a meme spread is to understand the meme space. Because otherwise you won't be able to know what is your territory, where you're competing. So instead of doing sort of push memetics, which is trying to push out stuff and see what happens, we first figure out the landscape, figure out how people see your brand, your product, your idea, and then get to solutions about how can you use cultural evolution and memetics to have this idea spread. So the challenges that we see now in the world is that good memes are not good memes. So the memes that are good for humanity, the world, the ecosystem, don't spread. And the memes that are not good for humanity, the world, and the ecosystem do spread all the time. And of course there is a good reason for them to spread, because they have billions of dollars behind them in huge marketing engines. So actually, the mission now that we have, thank you, is to work with the change makers here in the Bay Area to figure out how to spread these memes, because these memes are definitely need help, need some figuring out in spreading, be it social responsibility, creating shared value, sustainability, conscious coevolution, biomimicry in that sense. These are all memes that actually need some help spreading. So basically our mission here in San Francisco is to facilitate this global mind shift, to help people realize that even if we're born alone and we die alone, we are not alone. Which is one sentence, but it has, that could take a lifetime to actually, understand it. So we help companies find their purpose, find their DNA, find their memes, and rebuild or re-evolve them again through stories, and that's how we want to spread good memes. This is a great meme. This is, of course, the photo that the first astronauts took from the Earth, and it was in my childhood home, luckily. So a little bit back to biomimicry, how we do it. We actually learned a lot from all these sciences, from epidemiology to robotics, from science of emergence to network science. So our way of approaching biomimicry was that we looked at people looking at nature, and we learned from like what patterns that they see. My first book on that was something called Emergence, a book from Steve Johnson that started me on this path, and the book from Doug Rushkoff, The Media Virus. Those books were, back in the late 1990s, early 2000s, that started me in this direction, and I learned about ant colonies and how ant colonies have aged. Than young ant colonies, they behave differently than old ant colonies, which is kind of a curious thing. If you think that ants don't live longer than like a few months or a year maximum, and how can like an ant colony actually build a air-conditioned castle for themselves by they have like 25 instructions to communicate with. So these are the things that got me started in emergence, and actually back in Budapest I got together something that was called the Emergence Research Institute, which was a group of friends, about a third of this size, coming from all sorts of walks of life and networks and disciplines to talk about how emergence looks like in their own territory. So it turns out that emergence is basically group forming in sociology and how human groups and communities form. It's phase transitions in chemistry or in physics, and so basically emergence is something. It's like a cross-disciplinary subject, and that's how I got into memetics and the emergence of memes. So. Some other interesting aspects of this is that the media sphere is the ecosystem. I mentioned that marketing is epidemiology, which is very different than the approach of the marketing of the last 100 years, which is marketing as warfare. Firepower, getting through walls, get bigger guns, use more gunpowder type of frame. And again, frames are very important because that's how we see the world. Spreading is basically emergence. So if something spread, that means that it emerges from the fitness landscape. It creates a mountain. That's where you want to be, where spreading happens. Of course, when spreading has already happened, you're too late. So you want to figure out like how spreading will happen, because if the memes are out there, you won't be able to stop them. You only be able to do something with them. Networks and memes would be the two sides of the same coin. That was my original understanding, and that's how my PhD works in memetics started. Is that I realized that either the network drives the spreading or the meme drives the spreading. Like a good example would be like if you heard about a distant relative's wedding. You have there's zero meme value, right? You never heard about the guy. This is like, a second cousin of your aunt's brother. But the network, the family network, just brought this meme to you at the dinner. Like, you never asked for it, but now you know. Like, John got married, in Montana or wherever. So that means that the network basically was the driver of the spreading. The other, when the meme is the driver of the spreading, is like Lady Diana dies. And you're a British subject, and you have to just talk about it. It's like you just have to go out on the street and you have to get this out of your head, and you talk. You call somebody up, You go on the street, you talk to your grocer, whoever. So the network is not at all important. You just have to share this meme, talk to somebody about it. And then of course the world is in between the two extremes. And so basically what we are thinking about is to have the DNA of the business and the communication figured out and you know, find the local and global fitness, good fitness points on the landscape for our clients. So so if we want to see what, for instance, the meme of biomimicry is about, then we would go out and collect a lot of these quotes about biomimicry. We would talk to the target market that you guys want to talk to. Like we should first figure out like who you would want to have the meme of biomimicry spread to first. Who would be those opinion leaders? Who would be those change makers that you first want to be having this virtual room together for the first circle? And then we would collect all these memes. If you put and one more please. We would try to collect these memes and try to figure out like what are the big memes what are the dimensions that drive this. If you push one more, you will see how it works. First, we collect these memes, then we measure them, we code them, and then and if you push one more, we figure out what are the dimensions, what are the memetic dimensions that these memes can sort of be imagined on a system like that. And if you push one more, and then what we're going to be able to see is that all the memes that we collected in the space of biomimicry, how do they structure? What are the resonance points in this community? How they think about biomimicry? What are the drivers of the perception? And if you understand the drivers of the perception, you understand how to change them. And then you can engineer your meme, then you can figure out how to talk about biomimicry in order to teach people to hear about it. To actually, not even to understand it, but to raise their head and pay attention. So this would be a way to go about this. And these are this is a meme map that we basically do dimension by dimension. So usually a memetic dimension could be 3, 5, 7 dimensions. And we collect, we will show the defining memes that actually define biomimicry. We would have the so-called immune deficiency memes, which are those memes that are with the biomimicry meme, but you're not very happy about it. Like sort of like your allergies as a person, like it defines you, but sort of that's not your strong suit. And then there are definitely hostile memes that says like biomimicry is we should not even talk about it because it's like memes who actually compete directly for the attention with biomimicry. There's always the parasitic memes. They are just happy to spread like whenever something's happening. So they're just there and usually we don't have to do anything about it. And then we have the symbiotic memes, which are the sort of the blue ocean of memetics, which means that these are the memes that are on the map of biomimicry, but you haven't used them consciously in talking about it, in getting the word out. So these usually the memes that are the sweetest spots because these are the ones that you can try to integrate into the defining memes and try to make the communication about these. Of course, the hostile memes are always interesting because if you fight against hostile memes, you give them strength, and you don't want to do that. So that politicians do that very well. That when something bad happens, just try to change the conversation. Because just saying that no, I did not do that, or yes, I did do this other thing, that doesn't help. You have to sort of like get the energy out of the way and talk about something else. So those are always very complicated how to get hostile memes out of the way. So yes, basically it's very important to point out that if memes are out there, they usually cannot be stopped. The meme space or the memescape can be altered, or we can try to alter that, but usually the way to do that is the Buckminster Fuller way, which is to actually create a parallel reality, and try to, you know, get sort of the shift index. So basically, what if you want to look at from a little bit of a bird's eye point of view, you want to create a reality where biomimicry is more important. So so that's one way to think about it. Thank you.